I play so many different roles. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm not the greatest shooter of all time. I'm not the greatest this, but I was great at so many different things. Yeah, I mean, when I had it. I thought I was going to be, before injuries, I'm like, MJ, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's my mentality.
I know the mentality.
So recently, both Dwyane Wade and Joel Embiid made very similar remarks in regards to how great they could be if they weren't injured, dealing with, health issues. Dwyane Wade probably took it a step further and actually specified Michael Jordan himself. Joel Embiid said he would just be in that GOAT conversation. Basically the same thing in the same ballpark. I'm going to first start off with Dwyane Wade, what I think about him and what he was, which takes us back to the 2006 NBA Finals. I want to remind y'all, if you maybe forgot or perhaps a little bit too young, when this was going on, headed into the finals, one of the narratives was that Shaquille O'Neal would have to be the driving force to win. Remember, Dwyane Wade was in his third year at the time. There was some people saying he hasn't been on this stage before. Shaquille O'Neal is going to have to be that finals MVP, really bring it home, be the veteran. He's been here, done this. And in the first game, they lost, the Miami Heat. Shaquille O'Neal, by NBA standards, if you compare him to the average guy, he didn't have a bad game at all, right? He had about 17 points, 7 rebounds, something along those lines. It's just that when you get as great as Shaq, you are your biggest competition, and now you put up a game like that, which would be good for most players. It's not good for a guy like Shaq, given that we saw how dominant he was in the past with the Los Angeles Lakers winning 3 finals MVPs. And then in the second game, Miami Heat lost again, and it was actually worse. Shaq only scored 5 points. At this particular moment, with the Miami Heat down now 0-2, the thought of the Lakers version of Shaq coming through to save the day once again and secure a championship as the leading guy, that wasn't going to happen. What did happen was Dwyane Wade going for almost 40 a game and winning the next 4 games to close out the series in 6 games. And let me say, this is one of my favorite finals of all time that I remember watching in terms of an individual performance. And so for a third-year player to do what he did, to take over the whole series, not even let it go to a Game 7, close it out, and get his first championship, Hollywood couldn't write a better script. That's when that whole MJ feeling starts to become even more stronger, especially since Dwyane Wade is the shooting guard himself. And to summarize my whole point of Dwyane Wade stepping up and becoming that guy, I'm going to play a very short clip of Shaquille O'Neal doing an interview on YouTube where he echoes what I said about that 2006 championship.
In the finals, I was having a terrible finals. I don't know what was going on, but we were down 0-2, so I flipped it. What you gonna do, D-Wade? I got 3 people on me. I was just tired at that point. I don't want to. This your team.
As you heard, Shaquille O'Neal admits he was having a bad series. He let Dwyane Wade take over. The rest is history. The unfortunate thing, though, however, is the next 2 seasons after, Dwyane Wade was dealing with knee injuries, right? And he was still playing throughout the regular season, but he was like going through pain and still trying to fight through it. On top of other injuries he was dealing with as well. And you could say this was the starting point of him not being what he once was in terms of his prime, his peak, because the numbers were still good throughout the years. It was just slowly you could see that it was affecting him. Fast forward to his tenure with the Miami Heat when he had LeBron James and Chris Bosh. Ironically, he ends up doing what Shaq did with him, which is, all right, I got to take a back seat and let LeBron, or in this case, the better player, take over for us to really win a championship. I'm going to play a clip that he did with Club Shay Shay and Shannon Sharp where he admits this and explains it a bit.
For us to win rings in this day of age, you have to be who you are. And that's, besides Kobe, it's the game's greatest player.
Right.
And so I can't stand in the way of that.
Let's put the focus on Joel Embiid now. And keep in mind everything you've heard with what Dwyane Wade just said about giving room to LeBron, Shaquille O'Neal giving room to Dwyane Wade. I'm going to bring this back full circle with the comments that Embiid made. It's very, very intriguing with him since he didn't have a championship ring, right? He didn't win a ring like Wade, but he did have an MVP of the regular season. And that's something that Dwyane Wade didn't have himself. So the way I'm looking at it is almost like in reverse, where Embiid's injuries were worse. He actually missed entire seasons, 2 years in a row to be exact. Despite that, he still has a very impressive accolade, makes all-star games, all-NBA teams. My question to you guys is, in order for Joel Embiid to win a championship, will he have to take a step back for another superstar like a Tyrese Maxey, right? Because even when he is playing, he's going through some type of injury and he's trying to tough it out, play through it. But will there be a time where he has to say, you know what? enough is enough. This is not my team anymore. You know, like Shaq was saying, like D Wade was explaining, I'm gonna let Tyrese Maxey really take over. We got Paul George now. This is not about me trying to win another MVP. I want to reiterate the fact that he went through all of these injuries and he was still this very dominant. I don't think he would be in the GOAT conversation. You know, this depends on the championship thing, but he would definitely be at the very least in a top 5 discussion for his position at center, right? And maybe even past Nikola Jokic. I look at Dwayne Wade kind of the same thing. I don't know if he would be in the GOAT conversation up there, you know, surpassing Michael Jordan, but would he have, let's say, been looked at as a better player than a Kobe Bryant if healthy, if he stayed healthy and he sustained that level of play in 2006? I think that's a great argument that could be made. Lastly, let me say a few names of players who potentially could have been all-time greats, but unfortunately they dealt with injuries. A Penny Hardaway, a Grant Hill, Derrick Rose, Brandon Roy, Greg Oden. These are just a few names off the top of my head. I'm probably forgetting some others. Let me know in the comment section, however, if there's any other guys that you could think of. And also, what do you think of my analysis and the whole breakdown with Joel and Embiid and comparing it to what Wade was going through and their injuries? Do you believe they would be in the GOAT conversation had they stayed healthy? Very interested to hear what you guys say. Hit the comment section up, like and subscribe. And as always, peace. Salute for listening.